Hey everyone, I'm Marnix, and in today's video I want to go over 6 quick tips for beginning aspiring indie developers. Maybe you haven't really started the first project yet, but you have an idea of what you want to do, or maybe you have very recently started making a game, but you haven't really started, so to say. You've opened one time an engine project, but then you are like, I'll do it later. In that case, this video is aimed for you, so be sure to stick around. So the first quick tip I have is that your engine choice doesn't matter, except it does. So what do I mean with this is that, okay, we have this plethora of engines you can go for. However, in reality, a lot of developers may get paralyzed with, oh, should I go for this engine or should I go for this engine? Maybe you think that Unreal is a good fit for you, or Unity or something else. Maybe you want to try something esoteric or even make your own engine. In general, there are only 2 good things you can do. You can either use Unity or I would say use Godot. And whatever you do, stick to it. Don't learn Unity now and then for your next game be like, I'm actually gonna go for Godot. No, everything you do now this is the engine that you'll be using for maybe a long time in your game development career. And that's fine. You can do a lot of things in every engine. Whatever you do, just don't make your own engine. Use either Unity or Godot. The second quick tip I have, and something that we've made the mistake of ourselves, is don't make anything, or make as little as possible is maybe a better way. What do I mean with that? Focus on making your game and your gameplay, but don't focus on making the models, making the sound effects, making fancy UI elements. Get assets for those things. If you're planning on becoming a game developer, that's what you want to do, not a 3D modeler or a 2D artist. You want to make a game as quickly as possible, and to do that in a good way, you need to use a lot of assets. There's nothing wrong with using a lot of assets in your first games, especially because maybe you're not even showcasing them or selling them to the whole wide world, but it's more just a fun side hobby, in which case use as many as you want and focus just on making a fun and enjoyable experience for the user. And then for our third topic, what I would say is, if we piggyback upon the fun aspect of the previous tip, is playtest your game as fast as possible. And don't just you playtest it, but give it to some friends, even if it looks horrible and it's just some white cubes that are interacting with each other and spewing smaller white cubes at each other. This is fine. See if there's fun. A lot of game developers, they get overwhelmed by the concept of, oh, we immediately need to have a beautiful game to showcase, or I need to have some nice assets or something else. But that's not the point. The point here is about making a fun game as fast as possible, and you can only check that by running playtests. Have you been developing on your game for 1 to 2 days? Perfect. Now is already a good time to call up a friend and maybe send him over a build that he can just try out with. Hey, it's always cool to share what you're doing with as well. And then speaking of that friend, if you are really planning on making games, and especially a lot of games, try finding a partner, someone who's interested in also making games alongside with you. It can be a very lonely process to make games, especially when you have those longer periods of time where it just seems like nothing is going well, even though you are making some progress. And this is a moment where having a partner, someone who's also interested in the whole game development experience, can really help motivate you as well. And it's just more fun in general. Our next tip is not just applicable to game development, but is also applicable to a lot of things in real life. And that is, don't burn yourself out immediately. It can be very tempting to just day one grind 16 hours already in Godot and you're making new things, but you can't keep this up. And then after 1 week, you're like, you can't find the energy anymore to start working on your game again. You just want to delete the engine and put the project into your shame folder on your computer and never touch it again. And this is very unfortunate and sad. And the only way you can really prevent doing this is just by having a regular working pace. Don't just work 4 days non-stop and then don't touch your project 4 months, only to then afterwards do a full rewrite for 4 days and the cycle repeats. But instead, it's better that, okay, work on it a bit every day, take maybe a few days off, but always come back to your game and come back to your game better sooner rather than later, so that you can keep making progress and keep remembering what are we doing and why do we want to make this and how do we make it fun for just the player, but also for us developing the game. And then this last tip goes directly against my own business model, so to say, and it is don't spend too much time on YouTube. It can be really rewarding to watch videos like these or watching other people's devlogs or anything like that to see and tell yourself that, oh, I am getting inspiration and I am really understanding now more visions of what do I want my game to be. Or you see some guy on YouTube who is just making videos about how he's making his own engine for some specific render style or something. But these things in the end, they shouldn't apply to you and you shouldn't let yourself get influenced by them. Of course, it can be interesting to watch videos like ours to learn more about game development, but in the end, the fastest way to learn is just by going down, sitting down behind your computer, opening up your engine and making your own games. You can of course watch tutorials and such, but always keep in mind that the best experience is the one of you actually doing it yourself and not just watching videos. Now, of course, if you wouldn't have spent so much time on YouTube, you wouldn't have found us. So maybe a quick introduction if you are new here. We're a small indie development team making our own game Forge Industry, which is a resource management and automation game. And aside from that, we also upload 2 videos a week surrounding either our progress on our own game through devlogs and such, or we upload this general game dev advice content as well. If that's something that you seem to be interested in, then be sure to subscribe down below as it really helps us out. Do you also have any questions regarding making your own game or some experiences you want to share? Also, feel free to leave it down in the comments. We loved reading about it. We can maybe even help you with it if you have any questions, and we just love to help you out in general. That's all I have for this video. It's a bit of a shorter one today, I know, but that just means that there's more time for you guys to go back to developing your own games. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on Friday.